Do you all have a different approach once you know that, okay, we only have 20 episodes left, or 19, or...
I think it shakes out when we're breaking the season, where we realize, we don't have time for this story that we would like to tell, and how do we make space for that story when we've got to hit certain beats, and particularly also I think even more so than episode order, where our mid-season break falls has a really big ripple effect in either direction about what the story is, and we don't always know that as we start breaking the season. When are we actually going on hiatus there? Because you want to end on a cliffhanger there. So I would say even this season was a case where we didn't know if it was 8 or 9, and when we found out, I don't even know if I'm allowed to reveal when our hiatus is. But when it changed, it was like, we have to rethink some things and adjust to that and start moving some story forward and maybe excise some story and stuff like that. So you just have to adapt to that stuff.
So there was the insinuation that the brothers are going to have to sort of revisit a lot of the monsters and creatures that they fought before, and with the old season, maybe you're going to want to bring some familiar faces back. Can you sort of tease both the monsters and other old characters that we might see?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say that the consequences of the finale last year and sort of some of the old monsters we saw, that's very much at the front of the season. We're dealing with that, but both as a consequence of that and just because it's the last season and because of story reasons, we are bringing back a number of characters. And I have to think for a second about which ones I believe I'm allowed to tease. Rowena will be back. Ketch will be back. There'll be some familiar faces as well. Even in the back half of the season, it'll keep coming, and sometimes in unexpected ways. You don't not just traditional cases where it's this old hunter that we've seen. It's going to be some interesting twists on how we bring some of our characters back into the fold.
What does it do? What does it do to Sam and Dean and even Cass to have these things that they've vanquished and gotten rid of in the past come back into their lives?
I mean, it's funny. I would say that at the top of the season, that's certainly a WTF thing for them to be grappling with. But I think it's almost that's the fun of the first couple episodes, is that sort of taking on these familiar foes. But I think emotionally what's really hitting them more broadly actually in that run is the god of it all, and the fact that he's been pulling their strings for so long. What does it mean to be a hero when you don't have complete free will? And sort of them struggling with that is really sort of the question that they're really grappling with emotionally. And I think there's some interesting differences between how Cass is processing the finale and how Sam and Dean are processing the finale.
For a lot of shows like this, kind of the natural emotional end to the series might be making the ultimate sacrifice for the greater good. But this is also a show where they've all sacrificed themselves for the greater good about 600 times collectively. How do you kind of find a narrative balance about how to best end the show when we as an audience know that maybe death isn't really final in any kind of capacity?
Yeah, I think all I can say about that is that we have some really, interesting and fun ways to play around with that expectation, and I think and not just in the final stretch but throughout the season. I think that question will be raised in a number of ways, and Sam and Dean will be struggling with that in a number of ways, and I think we're all very conscious as writers that this is not a the Bells Game of Thrones type shove everyone's face in the mud kind of downer. It's a balance of pain and uplift that we have to hit perfectly, that feels fresh and doesn't feel like something we've done before. And I think we have some ideas that we're very excited about that I think will stick that landing for us. So I'm excited.
How present of an antagonist will Chuck/God be? And is there a discussion of trying to really can they kill him? Or do they debate trying to kill him?
I think that will be grappled with in time. I think at the outset of the season, it is a little bit of a hands-off situation as far as I think Chuck kind of lit a fire and then walked away, and so it's at the top of the season. It's really our heroes cleaning up yet another mess, that Chuck left behind, and then we'll get to sort of the question of how do you be a god, God in the first place, and we'll dive into that then.
And we've had many meta episodes in past seasons. Is that something that we'll get to see in the final season as well?
I hope so. We still have we're only up to a certain point in the run, but I think that because Chuck has become, in a manner of speaking, the big bad of the show. However that manifests, no spoilers, but I think I do think we're going to get there. But I think what's interesting is that the meta has now become emotional in a way. Like, at least in the early stretch, it's more about emotionally how this is landing on Sam and Dean. And so that sort of meta string pulling thing is less playful at the top of the season. And I think we'll get there in a big and some really interesting and fun ways, sort of more in the back half.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the old monsters, like that they previously defeated that have come back? Like we saw a couple of them in the finale, but some that they'll be facing in like maybe the first few episodes.
Only that there will be that. It's fun because it's not just the monsters. So there's other characters, people who never made it past season 4 or something. Because I think one of the fun things about this season is paying homage to what came before, honoring the past of Supernatural, and bringing those people back, but not just in a token way, but to let them do things that maybe you haven't seen them do before, have them attempt to do things that you haven't seen them do before. So I think there's a lot of fun in that.
As you're reaching out to these people, like assuming you're having the same actors play these monsters that originally played them, are they surprised that you're like 10 years later you're calling them, asking like, can you reprise this role?
Oh yeah. It's just some of them were beyond bringing back. This is no possibility because they were finished. Mary Winchester, you could put in that category. But there are some that just thought they were never going to hit that phone ring, and they did. So it's going to be interesting, and it's so much fun. You just hope they haven't aged so much beyond what they used to look like. So the makeup crew will have their work cut out.
What was the actual process like, considering you guys do have so many episodes to kind of pick from? Was there some kind of like thematic kind of thread that you found? Was there?
Oh, for who you're bringing back?
Who you're bringing back?
I think emotional weight. I think the show's bread and butter is that it's not just been caper driven, but it's been so character driven, and the people who count emotionally and they count for our guys, means something to them personally. So that was, I think, kind of the litmus test. And I don't want to give the impression that it's going to be wave after wave of people. Start getting a little old. But as they fit into the story, people come back and play a new role.
We've seen the brothers ally themselves with other hunters, with angels, with demons, when there's been a big collective threat. Now that God is essentially setting out to destroy the entirety of that world, are they going to find unlikely allies or enemy? Are there beings that want the world to end, and they have to fight them?
They will find unlikely allies. It's so interesting because on the panel I was saying that it's really unusual for a show that's been on as long as this to actually do a game changer. But I think that's really accurate with this because the whole exploration of your belief system, first of all, but also what the nature of free will is. If humans were given free will so that they could essentially solve their own problems as things crop up, and God might intervene if it was something super. But when you think then that this God that you always had a somewhat kind of faith in is actually causing catastrophic events, then aren't you then obligated to use your free will to do what you can to prevent that and stop it? So the whole concept of free will takes on a new meaning. It's not something that was granted. It's something that you've got, and that now you have to use somehow against the one who granted it to you. So it's interesting.
It seems like there could be some humor in testing the free will versus predetermined road there.
Yes.
How much fun are you guys actually having with that, and which of the brothers is having a little bit more joy?
It's funny. A pall is formed over the world with this. Things aren't working like they used to. There's kind of a fun episode where everybody has to accept the fact that things aren't working by the old rules. So all the things that used to work for Cass or Sam or Dean, nothing makes sense. So there's that. There's not a lot of comedy episodes planned because the stakes are so high this season. So there's levity where levity can live, but no really farcical episode.